Hi, my name is Shelly, and welcome back to another episode of Just a Girl and Her Healing podcast. Today's episode is titled Abuse Didn't Stop Me, and I just want to take a moment before we begin to breathe. Begin when you're ready. Inhale deeply and exhale. What I'm about to share on this episode, it's not easy. It's not pretty, but it's real. And I believe somebody listening right now, you need to know that what happened to you did not break you. It tried to, but you're still here. And that means something powerful. You see, we live in a world that tells us to hide the parts that hurt, to dress up our pain, to smile and pretend we're fine even when we're bleeding inside. But I want this space to be different. I want it to be safe, a place where we can exhale, where we can be honest about the scars and still believe in healing. Because the truth is, your pain doesn't make you less spiritual. It doesn't make you weak. And it doesn't make you unworthy of love. It just means you've lived through something that tried to silence your soul, and you refused to let it win. You know, when I think back on my childhood, I can still feel the echoes of silence in the room. You know, that silence that follows the screams, the tears, the fear. I grew up with pain that had no language, pain that I carried in my little girl body, thinking that was just life. Abuse became familiar, and not because I wanted it to, but because survival taught me how to normalize the unthinkable. There were days I would look back in the mirror and not even recognize the girl looking back at me. She looked strong, but inside, she was begging for someone to see her, to really see her. If you've ever experienced abuse, emotional, physical, sexual, or spiritual, then you know what I mean when I say it's not just the act that hurts. It's what it takes from you. It steals your voice, your trust, your sense of safety. And for a long time, I believe that what happened to me was proof that I wasn't worthy of love, that somehow I had done something to deserve it. But let me tell you something that took me years to understand. The abuse wasn't my fault. It wasn't yours either. And that's where the healing begins, when you stop carrying the guilt that doesn't belong to you. Listen, I carried the guilt for years, the kind that lives in your body, that keeps you up at night, that whispers, maybe if I had done something differently. But the truth is, my love, innocence was never meant to defend itself. And when that realization finally landed, it broke something open inside me. It allowed me to cry for that little girl, to mourn her silence, and to start loving her again, because for so long, I treated her like the problem, when she was really the one who kept me alive. And if you're listening right now, I want you to know that the pain that lives inside you doesn't make you dirty. It's a story waiting to be turned into power. It's the reason your voice carries so much truth now. You didn't deserve what happened, but you deserve to heal from it. You see, my love, there came a point in my life where I had to decide. Either the pain was going to define me, or I was going to use it as fuel to find myself again. I remember the nights crying out to God, asking, why me? And hearing nothing but silence. But what I didn't realize at the time was that even in the silence, God was holding me. Even when I felt abandoned, I was being shaped. The broken pieces of me were being gathered so that one day I could stand here, whole enough to speak life into someone. The truth is, my love, I learned how to smile through the pain, point blank, period. That was inevitable. I learned how to succeed while bleeding inside. But survival isn't healing. And I know it might look or feel that way, but trust me, it's just existing. And one day, I got tired of just existing. So I started my healing journey. The kind of healing that makes you confront your own darkness. The kind that makes you sit with your inner child and say, you didn't deserve that. I'm sorry you had to go through that. I had to stop running from her. I had to let her cry, let her grieve. I had to give her back her voice. And let me tell you this, my love, the moment I stopped pretending I was fine, the moment I admitted I was tired of being strong, something shifted. You see, real healing doesn't happen when you're performing strength. Absolutely not. It happens when you're honest about the weakness that kept you alive. There's actually power in saying, I'm not okay, but I'm still here. That's what kept me going. That's what faith looked like for me in that season. Trusting that even if I couldn't see where I was going, God could still use the pieces that broke me. Sometimes strength isn't loud. It's not the brave face. It's the quiet choice to try again tomorrow, to get up, to breathe, to pray, to keep showing up for yourself, even when the past still hurts. You see, there's this part of healing that no one talks about, and that's the in-between. You know, the part where you're not where you were, but you're not yet where you're going. That in-between is where I met my shadow. It's where I learned that forgiveness wasn't about excusing what they did. No, it was about freeing me from carrying it any longer. Forgiving the ones who hurt me was one thing, but forgiving myself for staying, for trusting, for not knowing better, that was the real battle. Because abuse teaches you to blame yourself for what was never yours to carry. You see, my love, I had to unlearn the lie that pain was punishment. I had to stop believing that I was too damaged to be loved. And that took time. You see, some days I would wake up feeling strong and grounded. Other days I'd wake up triggered, angry, tired of being the strong one. But healing isn't a straight line. It's a spiral. And it will keep you circling back each time. But each time you circle back a little softer, a little wiser, a little freer. And somewhere in that spiral, my love, I found compassion. I started seeing myself not as the victim, but as the survivor. And then eventually as the healer. Because when you start healing, you realize that the little girl who was once powerless grew into the woman who can now speak her truth out loud. And that truth, that's where your freedom lives. As we know, healing from abuse isn't linear. Healing, period, isn't a straight line. It's not forgive and forget, as we all say sometimes. It's forgive and feel. It's learning to trust your body again. It's learning to believe you're safe even when fear tries to whisper that you're not. It's choosing yourself over and over, especially on the days your past tries to convince you that you don't matter. Let me tell you something. There are still moments that trigger me, like certain sounds, certain tones, and suddenly I'm back in that little girl's body again. But now, instead of shaming myself for it, I breathe through it. I speak to that version of me and remind her, you're safe now. You made it. You're free. Because healing isn't about pretending the past didn't happen. It's about reclaiming the power it once took from you. Listen, my love, I've learned that God doesn't waste pain. Every tear, every scar, every wound, it becomes a story. It becomes a testimony, a light. And now when I speak from that place. Not from the wound, but from wisdom. Not from the victim, but from the victory. You see, abuse didn't stop me from loving again. It didn't stop me from trusting again. It didn't stop me from healing. Actually, the abuse, it became the reason I do what I do now, because someone else needs to know they can rise too. If you're listening and you've been through something similar, I want you to know you don't have to carry the shame anymore. No, you don't. You don't have to prove your worth to anyone. Because right here where you're standing right now, you're enough. Your story matters. Your healing matters. And your life is not over. Because there comes a time when you realize you don't need closure from the people who broke you. You just need peace with yourself. And that's the most powerful freedom you can ever claim. Now, when I look back, I don't see a girl who was defeated. I see a warrior who walked through fire and came out shining. The abuse didn't stop me. It became the soil where my strength grew roots. It became the reason I now walk with compassion, because I know what pain feels like. And I refuse to let anyone believe they have to stay stuck in it. You see, my love, healing didn't erase what happened. It redeemed it. It gave me reason to speak, to create, to pray out loud. And that, to me, is the ultimate victory. So with that being said, my love, let me ask you a few questions. And I want you to journal these later or just sit with them quietly. What part of your story have you been running from? And are you ready to face them with love? What would your inner child say to you right now if she knew you were listening? Where have you mistaken survival for healing? And what would it look like to actually heal? How can you begin to see yourself through God's eyes, whole, worthy, and free? Listen closely, my love. Take a breath. This is your becoming season. You don't have to rush it. You just have to show up for you. And when you sit with these questions, please don't force the answers. Let them come when your heart is ready. You see, sometimes healing isn't in the doing. It's in the allowing. It's in the softness after years of hardening your heart. It's in the giving yourself permission to rest in grace. I want to take a moment to speak to the version of me that was broken and afraid. I want to say thank you. You kept me alive long enough to become who I am today. You didn't let the abuse stop me. You didn't let the pain destroy me. And now I get to stand in the truth that I am not what happened to me. I am what I became after it. I am healed. I am whole. I am free. And if you're listening, I pray that you remember you are not your trauma, my love. You are not the lies they told you. You are love in human form, and that love is your power. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. And if this episode touched your heart, go ahead and share it with someone who needs to hear that healing is possible. And as always, keep praying, keep healing, and keep choosing you. I love you, and I will catch you on the next episode.